My parents threw me out of our home on my 18th birthday, leaving me with just $50 and a backpack. You're disappointed. While he watched me stagger down our immaculately groomed driveway, my father sneered. My daughter would never select art over medicine. The morning sun caught my mother's pricey tennis bracelet as she stood behind him with her arms folded. Sarah, we've done everything for you. Additionally, this is how you reimburse us, by discarding your future. All of the things they gave me had conditions. My beloved piano lessons were only for college applications. The artistic materials were only permitted to the treasurer because they believed it would enhance my resume. The local animal shelter was not prestigious enough, so even my voluntary work there had to end. I recall watching the huge iron gates at the end of our driveway close. Behind me, my childhood home, with its marble columns and well-kept gardens, felt like a jail I was finally getting out of. Freedom at 18, however, without funds or a plan, was terrifying. At that point, Aunt Isabella took over. She had been observing that day, but I was unaware of it. Her sleek black Mercedes parked down the street had shown her everything, but she was unaware of it. And the family's black sheep had always been my father's older sister, Isabella. For the money and status, my father decided to become a surgeon, but she had started her technological business from the ground up. "Get in," she had commanded, drawing right next to me. I had a deep affection for my Aunt Isabella. My parents weren't anything compared to her. Kind, sincere, and more curious about who I was than what I may become. She looked like the CEO she was in her tailored blazer and Christian Louboutin heels. Her eyes, however, were good. She said, "They're wrong about you, Sarah," as we drove off. The artist is more than just painting attractive pictures. It's about adopting a new perspective. That is the hallmark of outstanding inventors. That day was a game changer. Aunt Isabella did not merely offer me she provided a future for me, a place to remain. My home was her penthouse, and my compass was her advice. My parents informed everyone that I had fled to escape my responsibilities, but Aunt Isabella assisted me in applying to art school. She saw what they couldn't. That user interface design might be revolutionized by my creative vision. I was thriving for 5 years. I was the top student in my class. Took a job at Isabella's. A business called Montgomery Tech is creating interfaces that will alter the way people use technology. My parents never checked on me or gave me a call. Although their quiet was painful, Aunt Isabella's pride made it better. "You're exactly where you're meant to be," she would say as she observed me working through the night to meet project deadlines. Her illness was something I was unaware of. A terminal cancer diagnosis was made 6 months ago. Well, she'd concealed it. Came to work every day, continued to mentor me, and continued to argue with the board about creative ways to move the business forward. I lost more than an aunt on the day of her passing. I lost the one genuine parent I've ever met. The funeral was exquisite but not garish, with an emphasis on honoring life rather than lamenting death, exactly as she would have wanted it. She got me a black Chanel suit, which I wore while sitting in the first row for my first board meeting, trying not to cry as each individual praised her vision, generosity, and intelligence. And then I noticed them. As if they owned the church, my parents entered it. Mom is wearing her high-end morning attire, and Dad is wearing his custom-made suit. They had not held up well. Even while money could buy them fancy clothes, it couldn't cover up the resentment that was written on their faces. Then they saw me at once, their eyes tightening in recognition. As she walked closer, my mother's voice was honey-delicious poison, Sarah. "We have been quite concerned, darling." I thought about laughing. After being silent for 5 years, they were now concerned. "What have you got here?" With a firm voice, I asked. I learned how to maintain my composure under pressure from Aunt Isabella. Stiffly, my father responded, "She was my sister. Naturally, we are present. You too. Sarah, it's time for you to return home. The period of disobedience is over." Before I could reply, a tall woman in a spotless suit came over to us. Her words, "Miss Montgomery," were directed at me. "My name is Victoria Chen, your personal lawyer for the aunt. In a moment, the private chamber will be the scene of the will reading. Would you please follow me?" Immediately, my parents' faces changed. "Will reading?" Interest intensified my father's voice. "Her only surviving relatives are us." Ms. Chen's expression remained professional, aside from Sarah, but I noticed there was a flicker of something like contentment in her eyes. "Everything will be discussed soon. Kindly follow me." The tension that filled the private space felt too confined. Sitting opposite me, my parents tried to look worried, but their gazes kept straying to Ms. Chen's briefcase. On my most recent birthday, Aunt Isabella gave me a delicate pendant which I stroked. A little silver key etched with the words, "Future Unlocked." "Miss Sarah, could you please show me your necklace?" Ms. Chen asked before we started. My folks gazed. I was perplexed when I took off the necklace. After looking it over, Ms. Chen nodded and went to her briefcase. "Now," she added, "Isabella Montgomery, the CEO and principal shareholder of Montgomery Tech, will have her final testament read. From Montgomery Industries, everything would alter in the next few moments. Being of sound mind, I, Isabella Montgomery, hereby make this my final testament." Mrs. Chen started reading. As she went on, the electricity in the room felt electric. "To my brother Richard and Margaret, his wife." My dad eagerly leaned forward. "I give exactly what they gave to my dear niece Sarah 5 years ago. $50 plus the opportunity to leave." It burst into the room. My father's face turned scarlet as he said, "This is ridiculous. I am her sole sibling." As though he hadn't said anything, Miss Chen went on. "My whole inheritance, including but not limited to my $2 controlling shares in Montgomery Tech, is bequeathed to my niece Sarah Montgomery. $8 billion. All of my properties, both local and foreign, Montgomery Industries in its entirety, and my whole financial portfolio." My mother's designer purse hit the floor. "That's impossible," she said. "Additionally, I designate Sarah Montgomery as my successor, Miss Chen Preston, with immediate effect upon my passing as president of Montgomery Industries and CEO of Montgomery Tech." Suddenly, I felt the weight of the key around my neck. Aunt Isabella had been preparing me for this moment. She had urged me to attend board meetings, the late-night corporate report reviews, and the business classes she had supported in addition to my art degree. Not all of it had been mentoring. Training had been involved. "It's ridiculous." With a backward whack, my father got up. "She is merely a simpleton who creates drawings. A multi-billion-dollar firm is too big for her to manage." Miss Chen took out another piece of paper. "In fact, Sarah has spent the last year successfully managing Montgomery Tech's UI/UX department, increasing consumer happiness by 40% and stock value by a substantial amount." Isabella documented Sarah's efforts in great detail. Immediately changing her approach, my mother's expression changed to one of a worried mother. Concern. "Dearest," she made a move for my hand. I drew away. "This is a lot of responsibility for a young person. Allow us to assist you. We are, after all, family. Kin." I spoke in a firm yet calm voice. "No family throws their daughter away with $50. A youngster who pursues her aspirations is not abandoned by her family. An Aunt Isabella was my family. Now, Sarah," my father's voice became menacing, "pay close attention to what you are doing. We will challenge this. Obviously, you're not equipped in the mind for this duty." It was the first time Ms. Chen smiled. Isabella had expected this response. A flash disk was taken out by her. "This includes 5 years' worth of documented attempts on your part to gain access to Isabella's accounts, including forged documents signed by her. Everything was hers. She also recorded your bribery attempts. Voters will reject Sarah's projects. My folks are pals. There's a note here for Sarah, too," Miss Chen added. "An envelope bearing my name, Aunt, was given to me by her." Isabella's calligraphy was exquisite. "If you are reading this, Sarah, my sweetheart, then everything has gone according to my plan. Once again, your parents have been exposed for what they really are. But you, brilliant girl, you're more prepared than you realize for this. You are my niece, but that isn't why I picked you for my hair. Over the last 5 years, you have demonstrated every trait a genuine leader should have, which is why I chose you. You are not weak in your artistic vision. It's your best quality. Others overlook opportunities that you perceive. You realize that technology ought to benefit people, not the other way around. The key you wear has more meaning than that. Your birthday is in the combination of my private safe. All of the company's information is available to you, including details about some projects I haven't told the board about. Specifically, one will transform everything. Project Legacy. True wealth isn't about money, but your parents never got it. It's about changing the world for the better. Don't listen to those who say you're not prepared. Since the day you decided to be authentic, even at the expense of everything, you've been prepared. Isabella, You have my undying love. Additionally, the safe includes proof that your father engaged in some dubious medical activities. If you need to, use it. I felt strength coursing through me as I gently folded the letter. Upon raising my head, my parents were chatting urgently to one another in whispers. "Ms. Chen," I said in a bold and clear voice, "my parents should be escorted away by security, and documents should be prepared to prevent them from accessing any Montgomery Tech property." "You are a little ungrateful," my father began. "I have not finished," I interrupted. "Set up a board meeting for tomorrow and draft a news statement announcing my appointment as CEO. Morning. You'll be sorry you did this." Security arrived and my mother snarled. "We have not yet finished. In fact, we are." I stood, soaking up all of Aunt Isabella's elegance. Dad, too, of course. "The information that Project Legacy has concerning your experimental methods would undoubtedly be of great interest to the medical board." Their faces turned completely white after they had vanished. Mrs. Chen grinned. "It would make your aunt proud. 9 a.m. is already the time of the board meeting. The UI/UX team members who collaborated with you are ready to help." I sat that night and gazed at Aunt Isabella's picture on the wall of her office, which is now my office. She promised everything, and the safe was delivered. Paperwork for the company. Project enough proof and legacy data to guarantee my parents would never again trouble me. A year later, Montgomery Tech unveiled Project Legacy, a groundbreaking healthcare commercial that would ensure that everyone, not just the wealthy, could afford high-quality medical care. The media referred to it as visionary. It was dubbed our finest accomplishment by the board. By the time my father called his attorney, his medical license had already been revoked. "Mommy, when our stock price tripled, we made one attempt to get in touch. I blocked her number. I no longer need the key pendant to remind me of who I am, yet it still hangs around my neck. I am Sarah Montgomery, Montgomery Tech's CEO. I also share my Aunt Isabella's belief that power should be used to change things rather than to weaken others. I swear I can feel Aunt Isabella's presence when working in my office late at night, grinning at the designs. Strewn all over my desk are designs that will influence the future. She taught me that success is about proving yourself correct, not about proving other people wrong. Regarding my parents, I last heard they would relocate to a smaller suburban home. Living beyond your means eventually catches up with you. However, I don't give them much thought these days. Building the legacy Aunt Isabella always knew I could create is taking up too much of my time. The dumb girl with the drawings.